Hey there guys, and welcome to another daily pack opening here at the Games Repository. Once again we're looking at Magic the Gathering Journey into Nyx. Let's dive on in. Going to start off with a lovely 2/2 enchantment creature bird token. Nice bit of artwork. Okay, first up this week we have Desecration Plague. This is a 4-mana green sorcery, destroy target enchantment or land. Pretty useful within the block, lots of enchantments to target with it. Land destruction can always be quite a useful tool, though I tend to lose you a lot of friends. Pretty strong in limited, could have some use sideboarded in constructed. Next up we have Crazed Hoplite. This is a 2-mana 2/1 black creature with heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Crazed Hoplite, you can put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever a +1/+1 counter is placed on Crazed Hoplite, remove a +1/+1 counter from target creature an opponent controls. Pretty useful for shrinking down your opponent's creatures while pumping yours at the same time. Very useful in the block, since there are lots of other creatures with heroic that have similar effects. Some possible use as a budgetary card in constructed. Pretty strong in limited. Not a bad little creature. 2 mana for a 2/1 is pretty efficient and pretty useful. Next up we have one of our Strive cards, Ajani's Presence. We've seen this card in earlier pack opening. Strive is a pretty good effect, particularly in limited, though it still has some relevance in constructed. So this allows you to give creatures +1/+1 and gain indestructible till end of turn. It's a good effect, especially even for 1 mana. Allows you to save one of your more important creatures from some creature removal, or pump a creature for that little bit of extra damage to kill an opponent's creature or force through some extra damage. Pretty good spell in both limited and constructed. Next up we have Font of Return. 2 mana black enchantment. Pay 4, sacrifice Font of Return, return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Not the most useful effect. It's a very expensive way to raise the dead. Not particularly useful in either constructed or limited really, though can be useful in limited or block to refill your library if you've got a lot of your more powerful creatures discarded or destroyed. Next we have Aspect of Gorgon. 3 mana, enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+3 and has death touch. Pretty good to turn any creature into a very efficient blocker, especially in limited sets. Limited formats. The death touch allows a small creature to take out a larger one, and the +3 to its defense is exceedingly useful for allowing it to survive combat with reasonably sized creatures. Not necessarily sure it would see a lot of play in constructed, but pretty strong in limited. Next up, Flamespeaker's Will. 1 mana enchantment aura, red. Enchant creature you control. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice Flamespeaker's Will. If you do, destroy target artifact. Not a bad little enchantment. For 1 mana, you get to give your own creature +1/+1, and have the option later on of sacrificing the enchantment to destroy an artifact. Could be useful. Particularly useful in limited play, where making smaller creatures even more efficient is always helpful. and its sacrifice ability then becomes pretty useful against annoying equipment cards. Perhaps a bit weak for constructed play. Much more efficient destroy artifact spells out there. Next up, another Strive spell. The blue card in the cycle. 1 mana cost, instant blue. Has Strive, and any number of target creatures get +1/+1 and gain flying to end of turn. Perfect for forcing damage through onto your opponent. Gives your creatures evasion and pumps them up. Could see some play as a budget card in constructed. Very strong in limited play. Very strong. Next we have Pensive Minotaur. 3 mana red creature, 2/3. No abilities. Not a bad size. A red creature at 2/3 for 3 mana is reasonably efficient. Mostly useful in Minotaur decks. Particularly for either limited or constructed. Not a bad little creature. Reasonably efficient. Won't see a lot of constructed play though, I don't think. Next we have Countermand. 4 mana blue instant, counter target spell. Its controller puts the top 4 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. An expensive counter spell with a mill effect. Very useful in limited, where any sort of counter spell can help blue maintain control. Some use in constructed, possibly. Though I do think there are more efficient spells out there. Supplyline Cranes. 5 mana 2/4 flying. When Supplyline Cranes enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So at 5 mana you get a 2/4 creature with evasion that also pumps up one of your other spells at the same time. Not bad, reasonably efficient, very good for limited, pretty weak in constructed. Next up, Triton Cavalry. 4 mana 2/4 blue creature with heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Triton Cavalry, you may return target enchantment to its owner's hand. Pretty useful ability to allow you to bounce your own enchantments back to your hand to recast on different creatures, or to bounce your annoying opponent's creatures or enchantment creatures. Has some use. Once again, another limited card, not so powerful in constructed. There are more efficient ways to deal with things. Next we have Chariot of Victory. 3 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has first strike, trample and haste. Equip cost of 1. Reasonably useful equipment card. Gives first strike, trample and haste, all of which are reasonably effective abilities, especially as its equip cost is only 1, making the haste actually viable. Though you have to wait till 3rd turn to cast it, which can be a bit annoying, but in limited it's pretty useful to give it those extra abilities. Once again, strong limited card, weak constructed card. And now we have Squelching Leeches. 4 mana black star creature. Squelching Leech's power and toughness are equal to the number of swamps you control. Strong in a mono black deck, but loses out somewhat with other cards. Not strong enough on its own to be played in constructed, even mono black devotion decks. And in limited, unfortunately, limits you to playing mostly black. Not sure how strong it is either way, though its 4 mana cost is reasonably efficient. Next, last but not least, we have our rare card, Doomwake Giant. 5 mana for a 4/6 with Constellation. It is an enchantment creature itself. Whenever Doomwake Giant or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 to end of turn. Very strong effect in limited. Allows you to make all of your opponent's creatures weaker for that big swing, while also netting you a big 4/6 creature. Strong body size, 4/5 mana, very good limited card. Don't see it being terribly useful in constructed though. On a draft note, I do believe that our blue Strive creature, Aerial Formation, is too powerful to pass up. Okay guys, thanks for listening. Until next time.